Welcome back to my channel, Roy Reads Anything. And as explained recently, I'm making relatively few videos at the moment, so I thought if I'm making one, I should make it about lots of things, like a miscellany. So I've come up with a list of things, a bit like sort of something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, but it isn't that. It's going to be something I've read and finished, something I've started to read, something I've found or bought, stuff about the channel, a shout out to something cool on BookTube that I've seen, perhaps something screen based, stuff watched on the telly, that sort of stuff, a comic, a peculiar British thing that needs translating or explaining, and something to finish off with. So that's the plan for Roy's Miscellany. So kicking off then, something I've read and finished is Meddling Kids. Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. And this is read it as a buddy read with MJ, which was great. It's a sort of comedy horror novel. In 1977, the Blyton Summer Detective Club unmasked the elusive Sleepy Lake monster. Another low-life fortune hunter who would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids. So straight away, obviously the title and everything is referencing Scooby-Doo, but also Blyton Summer Detective Club is Enid Blyton wrote lots of British kid detective gang stories, so the intertextuality is strong in this one. That happened in 77. It's now 1990, so the kids are now grown up, one of them's dead, and the lake monster guy has just got out of jail, and it gets into a big sort of Lovecraftian horror thing. So it's like, imagine if the Scooby Gang were real, how they might turn out when they're a bit older. So for instance, the sort of Velma equivalent is kind of a sort of butch loner who can kick guys in the balls and incapacitate them.
A handy skill to have.
Yes, yeah.
We should all have that skill.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it quite a lot. It's one of those books where it feels to me as if the author maybe was having a bit of a better time than I was. It's a little bit too cute and clever, given that the concept is already very cute and clever. Some of the way it's written is so meta that you can't really relate to the people. But full marks for tapping into Lovecraftian lore, not just stuff written by Lovecraft himself, but some of the other things. Other writers like Clark Ashton Smith, who added to the stuff at the time. Mansplain. So yes, it's a good, entertaining read. I'm glad I read it. Like I say, it's probably around about the 3-star mark for me. Something I've started and not yet finished is this book I got from the library, Palatine, An Alternative History of the Caesars. So things have been very Roman around here recently because we've been watching on television the adaptation of this book, I, Claudius, by Robert Graves, which is an account of the life of one of the,
sorry, I just wanted to interject. I think it's I, Claudius, and Claudius the God.
Oh, okay. So he wrote. There's more than one Claudius book.
Yeah, that's what the television series is called.
Oh yeah, Claudius the God. Yeah. Yeah. So watching this adaptation, never read the book. I got this from a charity shop just because it has a family tree in the back, and keeping track of a lot of the people in the Roman sort of big Roman families, especially because a lot of them had the same name.
Or variations of the same.
Yeah. Can be tricky, but that was really good, and it's really what? Did they really make this? Did that really happen on television? It's a 1976 television show.
Iconic water cooler at the
Yeah,
time.
I know that the long hot summer of '76, punk rock just starting, and there was this Claudius. Anyway, yes, so Rome really interesting. Plus, I did all that Cleopatra stuff again. Those, the Romans are big players in that too. So I was interested in this. It's Historathon. The first quarter of Historathon involves reading something up to 500. 500 in the Common Era, so this counts. When it says alternative, it doesn't mean like different things happened. It's more about looking at other people who aren't just the Caesars and the emperors themselves, the sort of flatterers and administrators and satirists and hangers-on who between them made the whole thing work. You get a sense of that in the I Claudius as well, although some of the things that happen, they might have been historians of the time, like blackening the reputations of the predecessors. So it might not have been quite as wild as we see in those books. But yeah, I've nearly finished this, so that's been good for a non-fiction. Of course, not helping me at all with my read what you own. Given that I borrowed it.
Well, you sort of own it, given that we pay our rates.
Yeah, that would be. I've done enough sophistry around read what you own. Start claiming library books. Yeah, we're part of society, so we own all the books.
Yes.
Something I've found, this pulled from the shelves, Detection by Gaslight. So that's not detectives who catch criminals by gaslighting them. It's Victorian detective stories. So I've got this ready to read because I think it could work well in the legacy portion of the Holmes is Where the Heart Is event next month, because the whole rationale of this anthology, which by the way it's a Dover thrift edition, so cheap as anything, is to collect short stories from the 1890s that followed on directly from Sherlock Holmes. So the popularity of Sherlock Holmes created this market for lots of other kinds of detectives. As it says here, they could be very varied. Woman detectives, clerical sleuths, and entries by all sorts of people jumping in. So you get a story by Kipling, for instance. Scientific detectives and occult detectives,
Right.
circling back to that. So lots to dig into there. Short detective stories could be. Now, you're looking for legacy of Sherlock Holmes. That's exactly what these are, because there was Sherlock Holmes as this thing fresh in the mind of the public and writers, and this is the sort of stuff that appeared. So that could be good. What else did I say I'd do? Shout out to stuff on BookTube. Well, I really enjoyed the first episode of, I think it's called the Podcasty Thing, by Big Al Does BookTube and Duncan Back Away from the Donkey. So it's a collaboration between two great chaps, very chilled discussion, mostly about science fiction, fantasy, but straying into other areas as well. Kept me entertained for the length of the show. So I'll put a link to that down below and hope that you will see it. Hope you'll give them a look. Another thing I like the look of is the GKBC, Groz and Family. Got a Bronte reading event. The idea is simply to read a Bronte book, one a month, which is pretty manageable for most people, I should imagine. And they got a very interesting theory about the author. Totally serious theory about the authorship of the books. So check them out as well. On the telly. Well, on the telly in 1964 was the Avengers. The Avengers, British spy drama with In this, the third season, you've got Patrick Macnee as a character called John Steed. He's the sort of he's the character who appears in virtually every episode of the whole thing in multiple series. At the time, he was teamed up with Dr. Kathy Gale, played by Honor Blackman. So these are black and white, pretty, they're almost like plays, the way they're recorded, like live in front of the camera. Spy stories with a lot of British eccentricity and so on. Now, I know some people are going to say, yeah, but the Emma Peel ones are better. The Emma Peel later. Emma Peel. I don't disagree, but I'm watching them in order. So, the thing about things in order is some things come before other things. So that's how I'm looking at them. And by doing that, so I've watched the very, very early ones. Few survive, where the companion person was another male actor called Ian Hendry. They were quite gritty, small-scale espionage stories. Then Kathy Gale comes in, and you begin to get some of the surrealism and playfulness and bizarreness that, yes, came to full fruition in the no doubt infinitely superior Emma Peel series. Bowler hats with radios in them. One of the things was the Kathy Gale character. So it was sort of it's that two aspected thing where, on the one hand, she's a super empowered female because she does judo, she's tossing men about, and she's very, very self-willed, and she's got a doctorate. One of those like all-purpose PhDs you get in fiction, where suddenly she's an expert in something completely, chemistry or something, even though she's an anthropologist.
And they download all that stuff.
Oh, I
see. When you get the PhD.
Right. So you do your PhD in one thing, and then you know
and
about
then
everything.
You know everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
Bargain, mate. Bargain.
And at the same time, you get to. The male gaze may rest on her leather-clad body in this outfit she wears. So you get is that the best of both worlds? Maybe it's the worst of both worlds. I don't know. But there's a direct line of descent between Kathy Gale's costume and the Black Widow and the sort of clobber that you see in the other Avengers movies. So, enjoying these, I'll have finished them soon, then I can watch the Emma Peel ones. Then people can rest easy. A British thing. Ideas of things to talk about in the future. Cindy dolls, Action Man, other things that I haven't written down but are in my head. Baby Sham.
Oh, Baby Sham.
But not having prepared any of that, let's have a look at the date. So recording this on the 24th of January. And 24th of January, eve of conversion of St. Paul. Mm-hmm. So this is another one of those things where it seems to be an excuse for people to roam around the houses, bothering other people. Holiday with the miners, they call Paul Pitcher Day from a custom they have of setting up a water pitcher, which they pelt with stones until it is broken in pieces. A new one is afterwards brought and carried to a beer shop to be filled with beer. So yes, that's a good, Christmas. Why? It's been quite a long time since Christmas, let alone 12th night. Let's celebrate the eve of the conversion of St. Paul by breaking something and then filling a jug with beer. To finish, a piece of Victorian humour. I will put up a picture of something from today in 1894 from my favourite comic paper, Ali Sloper's Half Holiday. And this is one of the regular features, Miss Sloper's Fashion Fancies. So for hundreds and hundreds of issues, you would see every week a drawing of Tootsie Sloper wearing some outlandish outfit. I think the first one I saw was the Brighton bathing costume that has octopus tentacles on it. But others are more. I think the gag is partly look at fashion, isn't it eccentric? And partly like stuff to do with the times. So you get things like cycling outfits that were sort of satirising the new woman, partly to have a sort of pin-up picture that's a nice picture of Tootsie Sloper. So this one, Black Monday. It's the Black Monday outfit, which led me to try and figure out what Black Monday was. Obviously, she wasn't psychic or prophetic and thinking about the Black Monday of the stock market crash of the 1980s. I think, and there have been Black Mondays of various kinds. There's been riots. There was something happened in the 1300s with an army people being killed, soldiers killed by hail. In the wars of some things, there was a freak hailstorm war of the kings of
that.
Apparently, this Black Monday, bearing in mind it's in sort of January, is a back to school thing. Now, how that explains everything on the outfit, I'm not quite sure. That might be a sort of little slate, like a blackboard hanging on the dress. I don't know what the feather duster is. It could be something completely different. But that's what I'm finishing with. Like I say, nobody watches till the end. That's my miscellany.
I like that art one she wore that time.
Oh, yes.
Where she had like a painter's palette on her head.
Yes. Okay, write in, go to your nearest telegraph office and send me a communication to the editorial offices of Roy Reads Anything if you want to see a full video about Miss Sloper's fashion fancies.